In the world of marketing, we are obsessed with noise. We are told to shout louder, use brighter colors, and interrupt people's lives to sell them things they probably don't need. But in 2023, one of the most powerful marketing campaigns in the world didn't happen on a billboard. It didn't happen in a Super Bowl commercial. And it didn't use a celebrity endorsement. It happened inside a document that no one reads, a home insurance contract. This is the story of how AXA Insurance changed just 3 words in their policy. And in doing so, they didn't just win an award, they changed the law. Welcome to Creato. Today, we are breaking down the AXA 3 words campaign. We're going to analyze the behavioral economics, the copywriting, and the strategy behind it. By the end of this video, you won't just understand a great ad, you'll understand the Trojan horse strategy and how to use it to smuggle radical ideas into boring places. To understand why this campaign worked, we first have to understand why the insurance industry is broken. Insurance is sold on fear, but it's a very specific type of fear. We buy insurance for fires, floods, and theft. Why? Because of a cognitive bias called the availability heuristic. This is a mental shortcut where we evaluate risk based on how easily an example comes to mind. Fires are dramatic, they are loud, they are on the news. So our brain says, fire is a real threat, I need to protect my home. But there is a statistic that the industry and society ignores. In many countries, a woman is more likely to face violence inside her own home than she is to see that home burn down. Yet, standard home insurance covers the building, but not the safety of the person living inside it. This is a massive omission bias. We focus on protecting the asset, the walls and the roof, while completely ignoring the human disaster happening within them. This is where most brands get it wrong. Normally, when a company wants to support a cause like domestic violence, they run an awareness campaign. They put up a sad poster, they donate some money, and they move on. That is signal, not substance. AXA's genius was that they didn't treat domestic violence as a charity case. They treated it as an insurance problem. They applied the framing effect. Just like a fire or an earthquake, suddenly it becomes an insurable event. This subtle shift changed everything. It meant they didn't just have to raise awareness, they had to change their product. They realized that for victims of abuse, the home isn't a sanctuary. The home is the danger zone. And just like you need a payout to rebuild a house after a fire, a victim needs a payout to escape a house after violence. They introduced a clause that provided emergency financial aid and relocation support. But the real masterstroke wasn't what they added. It was how they added it. Now, a traditional marketer would ask, how do we sell this? Do we make it an add-on? Do we charge an extra $5 a month? This is where they made their most important decision. They used the default effect. In behavioral economics, we know that people rarely change the default setting. If you have to check a box to opt in, participation is low. But for domestic violence victims, an opt-in model isn't just low conversion, it's dangerous. Imagine a victim sitting with their abuser, filling out insurance forms. It's impossible. It leaves a paper trail. It triggers conflict. AXA realized that the only way to protect the vulnerable was to protect everyone. They didn't ask. They didn't upsell. They just added the clause to millions of contracts automatically. By making protection the default, they removed the social friction. No one had to raise their hand and identify as a victim to get coverage. The safety net was just there. This brings us to a concept I call operational empathy. Most brands practice communicational empathy. They say nice things. But AXA practiced operational empathy. They changed the mechanics of their business to solve a human problem. Now, let's look at the execution, the art direction. If you were the creative director, you might be tempted to use sad music, dramatic reenactments, or emotional photography. AXA did the opposite. They stripped everything away. They utilized the von Restorff Effect, also known as the isolation effect. This principle states that when multiple similar objects are present, the one that differs the most is most likely to be remembered. In a sea of boring, gray legal jargon, the phrase "and domestic violence" stands out like a beacon. They manipulated the signal-to-noise ratio. By removing the noise of traditional advertising, no colors, no actors, no music, they increased the signal of their message. The starkness of the visuals commanded respect. It told the viewer, this isn't a performance, this is serious, this is legal, this is real. So the product was smart, and the design was sharp. But why did this go viral? Why were thousands of people sharing a picture of an insurance clause? It comes down to moral signaling and identity capital. In the digital age, we share content that reinforces who we want to be. Sharing a funny cat video says, I have a sense of humor. Sharing this AXA campaign said, I care about women. I support real change. By sharing this, people weren't just endorsing a brand, they were casting a vote for their own values. This creates a deep psychological bond between the consumer and the company. Furthermore, this campaign utilized the inverse Pratfall effect. Usually, brands try to look perfect. They show perfect lives. But by acknowledging the messy, ugly reality of domestic abuse, AXA felt more human than its competitors. They didn't pretend the world was perfect. They admitted it was broken and offered a tool to fix it. From a storytelling perspective, AXA mastered a technique called Chekhov's gun. Anton Chekhov famously said, if you say in the first chapter that there is a rifle hanging on the wall, in the second or third chapter, it absolutely must go off. In this campaign, the insurance contract, usually the most boring object in the world, is the gun on the wall. At the start, it's just paper, but the audience knows that later, this paper will be the weapon the hero uses to escape her abuser. This subverted the roles. AXA didn't try to be the hero. They positioned themselves as the guide. They provided the magic item, the funding, the relocation, so the victim could be the hero of her own survival story. So, what can we learn from AXA? Whether you are a marketer, an entrepreneur, or a creator, here are the 3 takeaways. Number 1. Find the friction. AXA looked for the problem everyone else was ignoring. Stop looking for market gaps and start looking for moral gaps. What is your industry failing to address because it's too hard? Number 2. Action over awareness. Don't just talk about values. Operationalize them. If you want to build trust, don't write a manifesto. Change your product. Number 3. Build a Trojan horse. If you have a radical idea, don't just shout it, smuggle it. Use the boring parts of your business, your invoices, your contracts, your packaging, to deliver your most powerful messages. AXA proved that you don't need a Super Bowl budget to change the world. Sometimes, you just need the courage to change 3 words. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to decode the psychology behind the world's best marketing, make sure to subscribe to Creato. I'll see you in the next video.